Hey everybody, welcome. This is my first time going live using StreamYard. I'm going right into YouTube. So I'm excited about that, expanding my YouTube channel. It was quite interesting in the last couple weeks. One of my very first YouTube videos that I put out there was 4 years ago, and it was on Abhyanga self-massage. And it was instructing my clients on how to do this and how to incorporate it. And it's about less than 3 minutes. And it was really just sending to my clients. But somehow I was able to list it publicly. And within half a day, there was like 2,000 views. So that was quite encouraging. Some new members are coming in. And so I want to go ahead and kind of take advantage of that so that more people can find out about lose weight the Ayurveda way. And what is Ayurveda? So today our topic is how to lose weight using the practical applications and lifestyle practices of Ayurveda. I have a group program. And so those of you who don't know me, sorry, I didn't introduce myself. I just started yapping away. I'm Christina Surgoon Powers. I'm a clinical Ayurvedic specialist. And I have a group program. I work one-on-one with clients. I work in group programs. And I also have self-guided courses that you can take. The one I'm talking about today is a group program. So this is a weight loss the Ayurveda way. This started out as kind of a seed idea last August, before the holidays came in. I had worked with so many clients successfully over the years, and weight loss really wasn't the focus, but it was like the side benefit. And so all of these things that I'm going to share with today about Ayurveda and daily practices around food and changing our mentality, changing our mindset around food. The benefit is the body is suddenly going to come into its ideal weight and its ideal balance and function without the old traditional ways that we thought were effective. But as it turns out, they just push us more and more into an imbalanced state. So I'm going to let's go ahead and get started. So as I said, this is my first time live streaming through StreamYard. So just like moving into all new places and studios, there might be a little bit of bumpiness. If you could go ahead and comment, let me know. If you're just tuning in, or even if you're on the replay, let me know how's the sound coming through and where are you tuning in from. I love to read the comments after we've had a live and to respond and just see what is coming through and what you are absorbing and taking away. All right. Let me go ahead and just change the view. There are going to be a few visuals I'm going to put up here today. All right. Let's see if I can add this up. There we go. Okay, so Ayurveda, the foundation is really kind of how can we heal? How can we heal our gut? How can we heal around what we ingest and digest? We have five senses, five physical senses, and the taste is just one of them. Today, that's what we're going to be working with. But as I work through this program with all of my group members and all of my one-on-one clients, we always explore the five sense therapy and how we have to have a balance of digestion through all of them, not just the taste. Before I get into it with you, I want to share just a little bit about my road and kind of what led me to Ayurveda. So as I said, I'm a clinical Ayurvedic specialist. I've studied academic 3 years of study, 1 year or 2.5 years of study, academic study, 1 year of clinical internship, working with the Ayurvedic doctors, Ayurvedic specialists one-on-one, and doing case studies before I started my practice, my online private practice, which is what I do right now. So what got me started there? Well, I mean, I'm going to kind of focus on weight because that's the topic that we're talking about today, and what was my journey with that. Um, so it started. This was really after perimenopause, about 9 years ago. In that stage, that just before a woman goes into menopause, and I noticed I was beginning to gain 1 or 2 pounds every few months. I wasn't changing anything. I wasn't changing the way I ate. I wasn't changing the way I exercised. And I just noticed that suddenly it started to come on. And my doctor said, "Oh, you're fine. Your weight is good. It's not any big deal. This is kind of what happens at your age." Um, okay, but I really wasn't okay with it. It didn't feel particularly good to me. Um, what the facts were is I was under high stress. I had IBS and diverticulitis symptoms in the large intestines, but the doctors, they didn't seem concerned about the weight gain. I was eating less. That's why it didn't make sense to me. I didn't seem to be as hungry. I couldn't digest. I had the IBS symptoms of undigest. My stomach would make noises, and there was, excessive elimination going on, or unplanned elimination, immediacy happening. And so everything, I've also felt overwhelmed in my nervous system with my job and family conditions that were going on. It was a high state of overwhelm constantly. And we're going to learn how that has intricately involved in what's happening with our digestive process, and then therefore what's happening with whether we're gaining or losing weight. I was doing less physical activity, that was clear. I was losing my stamina and energy. So this is why I was doing less physical activity, let's say working out, things like that, of that nature. I didn't have the energy. My sleep was disturbed. I wasn't sleeping through the night. I was having difficulty sleeping. So there was no rest and restoration through that night. That's our natural process. We'll learn about our natural rhythm process and how that is intricately tied to how we feel and how the physical body develops. So my daily life stressors were increasing. So those are kind of the facts there. I was officially diagnosed with diverticulitis in 2018. This was for an emergency visit. I had no idea, didn't even know what that disease was. I'd never heard of it, that condition. But at that moment, I began to start researching what were my options, and Ayurveda is what came across my radar. I found what I've found with Ayurveda, and what my clients have found, is that the first link is always we address the root cause of the condition or symptom we're having, whether that is weight loss, whether that is overwhelm, whether that is a digestive disturbance or a sleep disturbance. We always go to that root cause because, as we'll see today, that root cause, if we don't address it, it's going to become exceptionally more difficult, and it's going to filter out into all the other systems of our body, whether that is our body's ability to pack on the weight because we're in a state of what the body considers a condition of starvation, a condition of the conditions we don't know what it's stress. Stress will pack that on to protect us. What we have is we have a digestion cycle. So the body isn't absorbing nutrients when we're in that stress mode, number one. They're not absorbing the nutrients, but they're processing what we're bringing in as toxins, or we're additional storing the fat. Cortisol is helping us to store the fat because when the body feels stress, it feels that it's in a fight or flight system pattern. That's the parasympathetic system. So even though we're eating minimally, or we have this high superfood diet. So again, it's usually not related to us having this high junk food diet. That's a little bit of a misconception of what's going on in this body. Because what will be happening is the body isn't even processing whatever is coming in, whether it is high superfoods or whether it is classic junk food. It's not absorbing. And so when it doesn't absorb, when it doesn't digest, when it doesn't absorb, it builds up what we call toxins in the body. And those toxins, they move around and they land in the different body systems, whether it's the fluids, the bloods, the organ tissues, the bones, the nervous systems, wherever we are at the weakest in the body through our experience of our life, this is where these toxins are going to land. So we may have a disease symptom or manifestation from that. The toxins settle into that weakest part and it causes us to function improperly. Now, let's say the fat tissue is the weakest part. So it's beginning to excessively build fat tissue, weak fat tissue. Fat tissue is intricately important to our metabolism and to our energy and to how this whole body system is working. It's related to the muscular system. But if it's a weak tissue, it's just beginning to be excessively building that weak tissue. And so we want to work with the body that all systems are working in their highest level of metabolism so that we can build the structure of the body that we feel good and strong in and feel energy every day and feel vital and feel proud to be in and walk around with that confidence. So in this pattern that I was saying, like many of my clients, I wasn't really dieting. I was changing the way I ate. I wasn't not eating things. I was looking at what I needed to, making the choices on what I needed to bring balance into this whole body system. And we'll see how that's drastically different than this idea of don't eat this, don't eat that, eat low carb, eat high protein. It's drastically different. So it seemed like literally there was no effort in the weight. It was just falling off. My clothes were fitting better. And all the special clothes I like to wear during holidays, they were fitting. And I literally lost 33 pounds within less than a year. I think it was 6 to 9 months. And it was almost literally seemed no effort. And that's what my clients are experiencing working with me. There's many testimonials. You can read them. I don't want to go into that right now. But what I want to do is go into delivering some very important information that you could walk away. And if this makes sense and it's clicking and you've got the notes, away you go. But ultimately, I want to give you an offer to participate in the group program because what's really exceptional about the group program is there's accountability and it's that community support where you're doing something together. It energetically changes the way you approach a new project or something that has been very difficult for you. Is when you get that community together, suddenly it uplifts your energy and ability to maintain and continue going forward. So that's what the whole idea of the group program. I'm going to give you a special offer today for that's available this week. We have three sessions, live sessions each month. Our first session for April is coming up this Friday. So I have a special offer for you. So stay tuned, stay all the way to the end so that you can get that special offer. So here we go. Have your notes, wherever you're taking notes, have that out. Again, if you're liking this, if you're going to come back to it, always is helpful to get this message out. If you like it, do that. Go ahead and subscribe to this YouTube channel because I'm getting in that whole rhythm of posting every week and trying to post more than that. And so this just kind of helps to grow that. You guys know that if you're used to watching the YouTube programs. So let's take out the notes. I'm going to show you some charts, and some of these charts because I said I'm just new to Streamline, I wasn't able to get them up, but I have some really good visuals that'll help you understand the idea of what we're talking about. So first of all, according to Ayurveda, we have seasons and everything is a rhythm. So right now we're just entering what we call the Kapha season or this spring season. So it has like this late winter at the coming into the end of February, beginning of March is what we call that late winter. And now we're fully immersed in spring. And we look at these as we change our patterns because of this change in the weather overall temperature. It affects what's happening in the body. As we go into the program, I go much, much deeper into that. So I'm kind of touching on the surface today. If these are clicking, you have questions, I love answering the questions. I'm going to give you my contact information at the end, and you can always post right here, post comments. I'm not going to answer them, most of them not right now, because I'm not sure I can see every single one of them immediately. In this StreamYard, I can see it. So I'm not quite tuned into if I can see them immediately if you're coming through a different channel. But spring is, we want to keep dry and warm. So there's the spring cleaning. So eating a little bit spicier foods and engaging in more challenging, vigorous exercises. We want to get everything moving and pumping. We want the blood, we want the fluids in the body to begin moving and removing the toxins that have built up over the winter season. The winter, and I'm going to kind of dial it back a little bit. The winter, this is that time, let's say beginning late September all the way till just the beginning of March. And there's that kind of overlap, that fall, winter. And Ayurveda really looks like in the broad that there's really 3 seasons. So this is that winter, fall, winter time. We want to always hydrate with hot water, hot teas, oils, bring that warmth and moisture into the body. In the summertime, in the fall, as we kind of move from the late summer into the fall, have reduced stress, so a little bit more quiet. We're kind of slowing down, deep breathing practices. And we're not eating as much cold. We're eating a little bit more soup, warm stews, things like that. In the summer season, it's that high pitta season comes in. So we want to stay cool, stay hydrated, plenty of warm, plenty of room temperature water, not ice cold. That's usually dumping cold water on that fire of your digestion. We always want to keep that going. So we don't recommend the ice cold water. Eating lots of sweet fruits, bitter greens, lots of nice light stretching, and we don't want to get too vigorous. So when we go with too much with any one of these, let's say in the summertime, we're getting too much invigorated workouts. It's too heating. It's creating this inflammation in the body. So we kind of want to pay attention. So we're going to dial all the way over to spring. So again, spring is keeping a little bit warmer because it has that coolness, this kind of dry warmth to it, and eating spicier foods and engaging in more vigorous exercise. So just kind of keep that note there to the side. Let's see, I want to take a look at, what are we looking at here? Yeah, so let's take a look at the slides that I have right here. So just, this is from a lesson that a course that this is what I mentioned is the do-it-yourself kind of course. It's Healing Your Life. And this is from one of the modules, Healing Your Life Through Diet. As I said, we have 5 senses, and that's the foundation of Ayurveda as we go through all the 5 senses. So this is a class I teach, and this particularly comes through the taste, the sense of taste, healing through diet. So knowing that the healing, it's the path, it's our responsibility to make those choices. And they lead us to that more peace of mind, that clearness. And we're going to take a look at how we can make the best choices. So here are, you want to take notes on this. There are 3 basic guidelines as we choose food. So consuming whole foods that aren't processed. So right away, one of the most important things you can do is look at what your processed food intake is and begin reducing it. I don't expect, and I don't think it's very healthy to suddenly go, I'm going to take out every single processed food, because if we're used to doing something a certain way, our body, our mind are going to resist it on a very deep subconscious level. And so you want to begin going, okay, this is a thing I can do without, and you want to begin gradually doing that. And that's something that I definitely coach all my one-on-one clients how to do that healthily, transition. And in the group program, we do that each week. You want to avoid foods with pesticides. Again, every single thing we digest is becoming part of this whole mind body, from the nervous system to the skin to the organs. Every single thing becomes part of this body you're creating. And so mentally begin to think about noticing how those pesticides are somehow going to become part of your system, and they're typically going to become toxins. And then we also have a wonderful natural waste system when it is working in a healthy way. When our waste system is not working healthy, this is when everything begins to back up in the whole system. And so that's one of the reasons why Ayurveda looks at the digestive process as primary, most important to making sure it's functioning properly and correctly, so that we can keep our body healthy, from toxins that are constantly coming into our system. And we eat less. And that seems like simple, but I'm going to talk to you about the 75% and how to do that. That's one of the number one ways in which we overeat and gain weight is we eat too much. Traditionally, in our the way we've been brought up, let's say if you eat less and you work out like a maniac, you're going to lose weight. Now, that's not what we're talking about here. It's something completely different. And so hang on with me so that we can get to that place. I just want to change the slide here. So let's take a look at individually. These are the main things that we're going to talk about today. And I'm going to have some visuals that are going to help you digest and understand and bring this into your consciousness if it's not already. Let's take a look at, in Ayurveda, we treat the imbalance first. We look at what our constitution is, when we are feeling strong and healthy and vibrant, where are we trying to get to? Where are we right now? But that's where we are trying to get to is when we have that strong, healthy, vibrant, I feel comfortable in my skin, I feel in my zen, that type of feeling. That's the true nature of who we are. That's where we're trying to get to. So first we want to look at where are we right now so we can work with those imbalances and bring in what brings us to balance. It's always this balancing act of, and we look at 10 pairs of opposites, for example, let's say hot and cold qualities. Everything has that, whether it's the foods, whether it's what's happening in our body. We say, okay, I'm out of balance. I have too much heat going on in my body. I need to bring in cooler foods. I need to bring in cooler environments, cooler everything to balance that out. And that's on a basic level. So that's what we're looking at right here. So I'm going to go ahead and share this with you. And I want you to take inventory. I'm not going to break down what the doshas are. Could be a whole different class. But in Ayurveda, we look at there's 3 main body types. There's the vata, the pitta, and the kapha. I just want you to right now, look at if you're having an imbalance of a vata nature, and you could be a kapha type by nature, but you could be having a vata imbalance, which is most likely the case. Our whole environment that we live in is very vata imbalancing. It pushes us out in that way. I want you to look in the pitta category and see, are you experiencing any of these things right now? Looking in the kapha category, are you experiencing any of these right now? And when I say right now, let's just kind of, in your mind, look at the last week. When I work in the group and I work one-on-one, we really kind of pinpoint it down to this last week and we see the patterns. When you break it, when you pull it out and you look at a whole month, a vata will go out of balance every alternating week. One week that they're feeling like they have more pitta imbalances. One week they're feeling like they have more vata imbalances. There might be a few kapha imbalances, and they have this kind of alternating quality. So it's good to kind of pull back and look at a whole month. You're most likely going to find you have some in all categories. And what that means is what right now, so that way you can kind of focus in my specialty would be, I would look at all of them and I would just say, okay, let's start with vata, let's start balancing kapha, let's start pitta, let's do a couple at the same time. That's what a specialist does, is really kind of goes finer and looks at that. If you're looking at it overall for yourself, just notice, okay, do I have more areas in the vata categories that are out of balance than I do in pitta? If they're both together equally, then you kind of want to pay attention to both. That's just kind of how it would work. All right, so that is the body function. And if there's something that pops up, you're not quite sure what that particular body function is kind of directing at, then let me know. I think it's pretty clear. I'm looking at all of these. I do want to mention constipation because this is always an elusive, it's something we deal with all the time, but it's elusive of what it means. Ideally, we want to be eliminating within an hour after we wake up. If we're going later in the day, that it's a level of constipation, that waste is hanging inside the body and it's reabsorbing. So when the body is functioning normally, it's within an hour of getting up, we are completely eliminating. Sometimes people are eliminating a little bit and a little bit later, and it's a non-completion. So that's a level of constipation. If it's very dry and it's very hard to eliminate. It's happening every day, but it's still hard, and it has a hard quality, and it takes a longer to eliminate. That's a level of constipation. And that's very important to for the digestive process to be working. And so that's something that we'll always be talking about. We're talking about how to maintain and develop a good, strong, healthy body environment. All right, let's take a look at the mind because, as I mentioned, it's not the body all by itself. It's not like, let me lose this body weight, let me work on the body, body, body. The mind is really directing the show. The mind and the body are doing this whole thing, and they have to both be coordinated for us to feel like, this makes complete sense and this is not hard anymore. What's challenging is when the body and the mind are in conflict. It's not particularly what's happening on the outside of us, it's this conflict on the inside. And so Ayurveda always works with mind body together. All right, let's take a look at this. Same thing. So look at the Vata categories, the Pitta categories, the Kapha categories of the mind and personality. And what are you experiencing right now? What are you experiencing in this last month? Again, these are not who we are. These are our imbalances. And when we go deeper into the Ayurveda, and when I go deep into the group, every week every month there's a lesson where there's accountability and there's a theme for that week that we're really focusing on. And it's interactive too with the group members. What questions are they having that I need to go explore deeper? And that's what I love about this is it's kind of guided on what my expertise and knowledge are, but also what are the questions that are popping up. I might want to go deeper into a topic that I wasn't thinking about for a few months because that's what they're uncovering. That's what they're wanting right now. So looking at this, where's your mind and personality this last month? What are you? And I said, these are imbalances. This isn't who we are. This is what we're trying to move out of. This is what we're developing to clear. So I want you to be clear on that. That when we look at this, we're always knowing that these are the imbalances and these are how they're showing up. And as we work together and as we change and transition, these begin to drop away. Just like the weight, this drops away. Suddenly it's like, I thought I used to be someone who was highly worried and judgmental all the time. How come I don't feel like that anymore? How come I've lost the 20 pounds? They are intricately connected with you individually. Wouldn't say that's, A, B, and C person I'm working with in the group, that's how it works. But each individual person finds where their mind and body connection are and what is keeping them in this constant state mentally and physically of feeling not good. They'll work together so that we suddenly become who we naturally are, which is happy, healthy, strong, whole, all those great, wonderful things that we know that we are or want to be. Okay, so what is the preponderance? What are you mostly showing up? So have that in your mind. It could be very different from physical personality and from the physical, the last chart you looked at. You might find in the mind you have stronger pitta imbalances showing up. You possibly could show in the body you have more kapha imbalances, vice versa, any one of those. And again, that's where we take a look and we kind of begin to go, all right, I'm a little bit on the vata pitta imbalance. Let me pay attention to those qualities that are pushing vata and pitta out of balance. Okay, and we're going to go and look a little bit more into those qualities. Again, pop any questions in the comments. I will address them. If I don't see them right now, I'm going to address them at the end. I always like to respond to the comments after I've looked through. I'm also going to share my contact information so you can directly comment to me. You don't have to make a public post. I'm going to take a sip of tea. Today was a funny day getting started. Like my grandma would say, I'm not quite as put together as I'd like to be. My dog was having a rough night, and so I was up early supporting that and didn't quite get my hair the way I wanted it. That's okay. All right, where are we? Just give me a moment looking at my notes. Okay, so we're going to look at the guides to healthy eating. There are 5 major ones and 5 what we call minor ones. I'm gonna touch on as many as I can today. If you were to walk away from this and you were to have all of these guides and you were to feel like, "I'm gonna implement them right now," that's it. That is it. That's the foundation of what I'm teaching in the group program. That's the foundation of what I work with my clients one-on-one. Depending on where you are in the spectrum, you might have more challenge with one of them than the other. But it's very possible for you to walk away and say, "I got it. I'm going to do it." Um, some folks can benefit, and if that's the case, I am super excited about that. My goal always is to bring people to independence and fluidity in their life, and not become dependent on me or any one program. That they suddenly got all the information they needed, and they're off and running successfully in their life. Okay, I'm just going to change the visual here. All right, here we go. And again, I appreciate if any comments at any point where if the sound quality isn't coming through or visual isn't coming through, if pop that, even if you're going in the replay, it helps me to get better and better at doing this. I'm just going to get my notes up here. Again, I'm getting used to StreamYard and where I can see everything, but also see my notes at the same time. Okay, so I'm just going to go down the list here, looking at these are the guides to healthy eating. This is it right here. If we can do this, then and truly, if we'd been implemented this from the beginning, from our first experiences, this would be so intricate to our lives, we wouldn't even think about it. It'd be just like brushing your teeth every day. You wouldn't not think of doing that. And it's very important to your gum and teeth health and body system health and your digestive health. And that's the way I want you to think about these guides to healthy eating. So simply, I want you to think about beginning. Number one is our approach and our mind. Everything is about, there's 2 systems, there's 2 parts of our nervous system at play here, the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. When the parasympathetic nervous system is turned on, we are resting and digesting. And there is 75% of our body, I'm just going to throw that out, it could be 65 or it could be 80%, 75% of our energy, but it's been registered. So don't quote me on the 75. It's individually somewhere in between, let's say 65 to 80% of our energy, some would even say 90%, goes into this digestion and rest phase. It's the building blocks of this whole mind body. When the sympathetic nervous system is turned, so that's the parasympathetic, when the sympathetic nervous system is turned on, we are in analyzing mode. We are thinking about what's going on, what we've done in the past, or what we need to do in the future. There is no rest and digest happening. So very important that when we come down to sit and eat our meal, that is what we are doing, right? So think about it. What are you doing at breakfast time? Are you rushing, running around, trying to do multiple things at the same time? Are you driving? No digestion happening. Building toxins. When the digestion doesn't happen, the toxins are building, no nutrients are getting absorbed. What are you doing during lunch? Are you working through lunch? Are you watching something at lunch? Are you listening to a podcast at lunch? Are you engaged in some kind of conflicting, heavy duty conversation, even if it's an enjoyable conversation? Everything we need to do in practice is to keep this body in rest and digest mode while it's ingesting the food. At dinner time, is there, a lot of rush and stress around dinner time? And I say all these things because I know I have experienced them in my life as a mother, as a provider, all of those things, working and mothering at the same time. But this is critical. So what do we do? Simply, when you sit down to that food, it goes back to prep food. And when I work with my group and I work with one-on-one clients, I teach you about the concept of thinking about the food and preparing the food and all of that. But let's say we're sitting down to the meal, whether we've prepared it or someone else has prepared it, whether we've ordered it in the fast food or wherever it is, we're not judging the quality of the food, because in Ayurveda, that is lower on the list. It's how do we approach the food no matter what it is? We have to have this feeling of we are bringing this into our body, not judging and evaluating the food. That's later down the list, and it's not as heavy duty as you think it is. There can be just as much value in eating a piece of pizza as eating some supernatural food if we have the mindset of how we're digesting this food. So what I want you to practice and integrate into your systems, if you haven't already, is 3 long, slow breaths. Inhaling through the nose, exhaling. Inhaling through the nose. I'm not going to do all these things with the hands, because in case you're out in public, I know some people get all wacky about what we're doing here. So just inhaling and exhaling. Just like that. Do it 3 times. Last one. And a deep breath. When it goes deeper into the lungs, it triggers the stomach. And the stomach says, we are going to start digesting some food. So if that's immediate trigger that digestion is going to happen. So now the mind has shut off. That's just one thing that you can start doing to initiate that parasympathetic nervous system, to trigger it, to tell it to push that button that says, we are going to start digesting. Second most important part, and please don't disregard this, because the 2 I've just started with are the harder ones to deal with, but they seem so simple. And once we get them going, you need to eat in a calm environment. And that's the other part. If it's not calm environment, the nervous system already tunes in and says, this isn't calm. I'm now in sympathetic. I'm worried. I'm concerned. I'm agitated. And it's always on high alert. So there is no digestion going to be happening. You want to make sure it's a beautiful environment, that you don't have clutter all over the place, that you have sat in a place that specifically, this is food time. You're not sitting there, piling everything, your food on top of your work, or you want to make sure that it's a very calming environment. Don't discount how incredibly important this is. If it's not calming, the nervous system picks it up. And you're not in digest mode. Automatic, hands down. So that's why it's so important. And as we get into my group program or working one-on-one, we talk about how calming means all 5 senses. All 5 senses are taking everything. What are you hearing? What are you seeing, smelling? What do you feel on the skin? Is it too cold in an environment where you're shaking, or is it too hot in an environment? All of those things are intricate for the system, and for your system to say, I'm calm, and now rest and digest mode is turned on. I can now eat. I can absorb all the nutrients. I can tell if I've got too much. I can tell if I don't have enough. I'm sending all of the nutrients to every single cell in my body, and the waste that I don't need, I'm eliminating. You're not thinking that, but that's the subconscious level of what's happening. None of that is going to happen if the body is agitated from all 5 senses. All right. Now we're going on to something that is a little bit more muscular, and you can really kind of get into this. Chew your food until it's an even consistency. Again, extremely important. This requires us to really be thinking and present with our food. Number 1, important. That's everything we're doing that I've said before is all about being present with the food. When our mind is on something else, we're not in rest and digest. So chew it properly. This is one of the earlier stages of digestion before it gets in. Digestion is already happening before the food comes into our mouth. This is like it's now just coming in. We need to chew it all completely. If that food isn't chewed completely, it's that much harder for the stomach to do its work. And then the stomach starts going, I can't. I can't. I'm going to send it on through. It gets sent on through and nothing happens. The liver can't break it down. The small intestines can't break it down. They're like, what am I going to do with this? Send it on through. And as it goes on through, one, you're not getting the nutrients, and two, it's beginning to build toxins in the body already, because it's like the body is going to try to break it down, and if it can't, it's going to move it into the toxic mode. It's going to come down through, and it's going to have stress on the larger colon. It's going to have stress on the large intestine. I'm not the large colon, the large intestine. It's going to have stress all the way down. You're putting stress on the body. What do we know about stress mode? When we're in stress mode, it's not resting and digesting. And that's all the way into the cellular structure of the body. So you might not think on the mind level of stress, but you're putting, whenever there is stress involved, it's the cells. It's just think about the experience you have with stress. Your cells, each cell will experience that stress level. All right. There's no magic number. I know my strong pitta types, they like to say, okay, I'm going to look up how much should I chew? And they're going to count and focus. They're going to chew 14 times every bite. That's helpful, but it's not absolutely necessary. If it helps you to pick a number to count, pick a number and do that. But notice, I want you to get more notice in how much that consistency, and more, not just the consistency, I want you to go deeper and develop that taste. What are you noticing about how the taste changes? What are you noticing about the intricate tastes of each and every food? And then going deeper, that's where you begin to have this beautiful relationship with the food. But on the big surface level, get it to the consistency so that it's beginning to help that body support the digestion. You want to eat at a moderate pace. And this is where we're going to get into that 75% full. And this is key. If we're not eating 75% full, we're automatically gaining weight, automatically building toxins in the body on a very high level, dangerous, getting into the symptom and health concerns. So overeating is one of the major causes of disease in our society. And overeating, not just to be overweight, but overeating, most people overeat even if they don't have a weight and out of balance with their weight, is they're eating and overeating and their body can't absorb it. And so then it's creating a whole succession of domino effect of disease buildup in the body. When we eat too much, digestion becomes very difficult. I've already mentioned that before. When we finish eating, we should not feel heavy and we should not feel hungry. When we finish eating, I'm going to say it one more time because that's extremely important for us to tune into. When we finish eating, we should not have a heavy feeling and we should not have a hungry feeling. We want to feel satisfied. That is what the health moment is. That is what is meant by having 75% full. So I have this nice little visual that I do show in my group, but I can't show it for some reason. I couldn't figure out how to get it up on the stage here. So just kind of go with me. 75% full, and this is a little bit more elusive. That's why slowing down, that's why paying attention to the food helps the mind to clue into 75. Our mind and our body are not coordinated and connected. Our mind is going to be, they say, 20 minutes behind, anywhere 10 to 20 minutes behind our body's satiation. If we are shoveling the food in, the mind, it's even pushing the mind further back. It's not getting caught up. So eating slower and chewing helps the mind and body catch up to the satiation point. Satiation meaning that's full, not my stomach is completely full. The stomach can't, just imagine this, nice little ball, this little bag, and I'm making it bigger than it actually is. But if it's completely packed in, it can't churn. So the stomach begins to do this. If it's pushed and packed, that's not happening. So digestion is now already suddenly started. It's not going to continue digesting the food. It's going to continue in that very dysfunctional way of sending the food through and really, really struggling with trying to break down the food because it's too full. The stomach needs to be 75% full so it has this whole space to kind of do this action. Right? So food, it should be filled up. And these are just kind of general markers, but you want to try to get to that point. The food level should be 50% and a quarter of it should be liquid. So that liquid helps to break it down, whether that's, nice warm tea or a nice room temperature juice or room temperature water. Again, remember I said cold is what kills the digestive fire, that the enzymes that are in the body, it's like pouring a wet, big damp log on the digestive fire. So following the meal, let your food digest. And it's best not to have a lot of activity. It's best to wait about 15 to 20 minutes for food to digest. So that could be light conversation that's enjoyable, reading a light book, not something too academically involved, but something that's very light, entertaining. Definitely not the news. Please don't turn your phones on. That's what I say is the last. You should never have that phone on. It's too activating. And once we have that phone, when I say the phone, you guys know what I mean. Going through the media, it's beginning to activate the sympathetic nervous system. That's the stress mode, constant. So don't have that during the eating time. Go for a slow walk, not a vigorous walk. If you start doing the vigorous exercise at noon, which is what a lot of my pittas like to do, they like to exercise and not eat. Wrong thing to do. This should be the largest meal of the day. This is when our metabolism is the highest. The more we engage and we feed it during that time, it raises the metabolism. Exercising during that time completely and totally depletes us. But there is a driver. If we kick over into the sympathetic nervous system, which is the fight or flight, the pitta goes, I'm ready to run. I need to run. I need to do all this heavy, heavy exercise. That's a complete depletion mode. And it's going to be a total burnout. What we need to do in that time is let the body rest. So a gentle walk, all it's doing is just kind of nudging the digestive system along. We're not trying to burn calories. We're not trying to do any of that. Just a gentle walk, minimally. Let's say you don't have any time to rest for 15, 20 minutes or talk or read, or you don't have 15 or 20 minutes to gently walk. 3 slow breaths, just like we did in the beginning. That's beginning to train your body to allow it to digest. If that's all you have, that's where you start with. Okay. All right. So those are the major ones. Let me just touch upon the 5 minor ones. And I mentioned it a little bit. At the meal time, drink only a little bit of liquid. So 1/4 a cup, if you want to get into the quantity, 1/4 cup, which is 2 ounces, to 1/2 a cup, which is 4 ounces. Room temperature. Drier meals might require a little bit more. So if the meal is a little bit drier in consistency, let's say you're used to drinking a 1/4 a cup, you might drink 5 ounces. So not too much. Most meals like soup, you don't need to have them at all. So second one, take all water, like I've said this before, at room temperature. If it's cold, it decreases your digestion. And this is true throughout the entire day. All right, number 3, the body rhythms mirror digestion. And I've already said this before, so yeah, I'm glad I already mentioned it. So it's our whole system. The noontime is the hottest and highest time of the day. This is our hottest time for metabolism. And it begins to get lighter. The morning time is the second highest level of metabolism. The evening time, dinner time, is the lowest. When do a lot of people do? They eat very light breakfast. They sometimes skip lunch, work like a maniac all day, burn out, and they're starving by the time they get home at 5 or 6 in the evening, and they continue to eat and graze all the way through the evening. This is completely upturning their whole entire digestive system. No digestion is happening. It's the lowest, most laboring time for the body to do anything. You're just putting your body in high stress mode. So you've gone from high stress mode here, and you're putting the body into high stress mode with putting all of that heaviness into the body when it just can't handle it. So we need to make sure the evening meal is the lightest meal of the day. I go deeply into that. There's very intricate times of what we should be eating between 5 and 6, 6 to 7, 7 to 8, 9 to 10. In my group programs, and when I'm working one-on-one, specifically going to learn much more about that in a group. But if you can already consciously begin turning it around so that the lightest meal of the day that you're eating is that evening meal, best to eat it between 5 and 6, and make sure that the heaviest, largest meal that you're eating without going 75% full in the stomach is in that noon to 2. So when I'm saying noontime, anywhere between 12 and 2 is our highest metabolism generally. Um, Very, very important here. If you can do, if all of this is just like going, oh my God, I can't do any of that. Here's the thing, the one thing you want to, I suggest. I mean, any one of these could be easier for some than others. This is one of the most important things: is eating, waiting 2 to 3 hours. We say 2.5 to 3 hours between eating. Why? Because the digestive process takes 2.5 to 3 hours. And if you suddenly start eating, let's say you ate lunch at 1 o'clock, and then by 2 o'clock, you're suddenly taking some snacks, your body was still in process of digesting, and particularly if it, maybe you were not completely focused on your food and it's having a much, much harder time. Now you pile on top of it, you just put something else. As soon as we put something else in our mouth, it's triggered now to start digesting that. And what was in our process before, that energy has stopped. So now you have this big lug of food that was from an hour earlier that it stopped. And now it's on to this new little thing that you put in your mouth. 2.5 to 3 hours between eating any kind of meal or snack. Extremely important. Allow your whole digestive system to go all the way through. This is where we get indigestion. This is where the gas and constipation or the diarrhea, all of those things, it just becomes this cycle that happens. And again, this is if someone is in the category of putting on excess weight. This is how the excess weight just continues to build and build and build. The previous meal isn't getting digested and absorbed as nutrients, so the body thinks it's hungry and starving. And it says, hey, we're hungry and starving. Keep eating more, eating more. It says keep eating more because you're not building. You may be building poor quality fat tissue, but you're not getting nourishment to the nervous system for sure. The nervous system is almost last in line of what we nourish. There's a whole linear effect that, and the anatomy of the body is nourished in a very progressive, systematic way. And so we're not getting to those layers of the nervous system tissue, which is why it's intricately involved. And whenever we have imbalances in the body, it's happening in the mind, because the mind is related to the nervous system, and it is basically being depleted. It's being undernourished. All right. So how many times a day should you eat as a general rule? Someone who, when you looked at down that list and you saw more of the vata imbalances, you want to eat 4 to 5 times a day. And that means eating smaller portions. So the smaller, denser meal. So the most dense meal, most nutrient-rich, dense meal at noon, eating a breakfast, maybe eating what they call a second breakfast or a second lunch, and then having snacks, smaller snacks in between, and letting your last meal of the day be the lightest meal, and try to eat somewhere between 5, no later than 7. And there are different layers of what is best to eat. I do cover that. We go much more into detail what should be eaten at certain times. If you have a general question, I'm happy to answer that. And lastly, this is a major one, and this is another one that we really get into in the group program, because I can give you the list of all these things, but it's how do we do it? Sometimes that is much more challenging on your own. Eat your food prepared with love. So this is the last one of the minor guides to healthy eating. The energy of the cook is always in the food. We got to know that. So avoid eating prepared foods that someone who has had resentment. We only want to eat foods that have love emotions of the cook. So think about that. I know in my own experience of being a cook and being a mom, full-time mom, and being a full-time educator and administrator, high levels of stress. And so the food became later on the chain. It became something like, oh, why do I have to do this? And looking back, I can see how that energy went into the food. And so now it's transitioning, thinking about the energy of the food that comes through. What energy are you putting into the food you're preparing? I mean, it's as you go around and you make choices of where you're choosing to eat food, and those environments, knowing that this is a beautiful environment, the owners of this restaurant, the owners of this establishment, you can see that they really care about the people who are making the food. They seem happy about their jobs. Those things are, really, really important. But right now, what you can control is the food that you're making and the feeling that you have with it. So just begin thinking about that and bringing that into your consciousness of how incredibly important that is. Okay. What else? Was there something else I wanted to share with you today? There's so much. I'm so excited to bring this to you today and share this with you. And I hope that this is something that you're going to take away at least one thing, and somehow that's going to be the change. I would love to invite you into my group program. So this is the weight loss, lose weight the Ayurveda way. That's the foundation. We work with the 5 sense therapies. And for you today, we meet 3 times a month. We like to meet on the new moon to set our goals. We have the full moon where we kind of revise and look and edit. And then coming all the way, we have a lesson, usually a lesson that I'm going deeper into some of the concepts I talked to you about and how to implement them. How do we do that? We have this wonderful accountability. We also have this very supportive. And so it's collectively, it becomes much more successful sometimes than maybe doing something on your own. But again, everything I've told you today, if you were able to take away and start implementing, you would be highly successful. And again, I am very welcome to questions. So if you start with the group program today, I want to invite all of you for free to come into our April new moon. It's this Friday. It's live. I go through my Zoom. It's not something that's going to be on a replay. And so I will send you the link if you want to go say, I'm in, I really want to attend. So you get to see what's happening in the group program and how we approach these concepts that we're talking about, and how we go deeper into it, have that experience. And then you get to have the special offer of $197 a month. This is a 6-month membership program. Normally it's $247, but this week I'm inviting you to come in and check it out, just like here. And it's Fridays, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. You can kind of adjust your time zone and see where that is for you. It is a live offer though, so the replay will not be a replay offer available. So I hope you can come in, make it. If for some reason it's like, I really want to be there, Christina, but I just can't do it this Friday, just send me a message and we'll see if there's an opening for me to give you some more time for maybe the next session, but the next month. We meet three Fridays a month. Usually it's the second Friday of the month, second, third, fourth Friday of the month. Contact me if you want to send me. You can post a comment right here, even on the replay. Like I said, I love reading the replays. Hit like, hit subscribe so you can get notices when I have more YouTube programs coming out, and I try to do that every week. But post a comment. I like to respond. If it's something that is a little bit more private, you can send me a question. support@yogaforbalance.online. That's the email support. And that's just all spelled out, Yoga for Balance, yoga, F-O-R, balance.online. You can also look for me on Facebook. I have a private Facebook group that I'd love to have you check out. It goes into more digestive issues. I mentioned at the beginning, I had worked with diverticulitis myself. I work with clients with IBS, all of those kinds of things. So definitely I do weight loss tips and diet tips and videos and all kinds of things. So look for me, Christina Sergun, just like you see it typed there on the screen here. Powers, Christina Sergun Powers. You can friend me on my personal page. I always also do information about Ayurveda, and then you can check out the free group program. So don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, ask me any questions. Super excited and just glad to be here and bring this to you. And I will see you on the next session. Hopefully I'll get to see you this Friday, April 5th, in our Weight Loss the Ayurveda Way group program. Have a wonderful day.